All right, this video is going to cover section 2 of the leadership process. So now that we've kind of explored some of the fundamental nature of leadership, let's shift our focus to understanding the process of leadership. So how does it unfold? What are the key elements at play? We're going to unpack a model that helps to explain leadership as a dynamic and relational process, emphasizing the continuous interaction between leaders and followers. So we'll go ahead and get in here. So the leadership process model was developed by Dunham and Pearce, published in their book in 1989 called Managing. And it helps us to understand how leadership works in action. The model views leadership as a dynamic, a relational process. It highlights continuous interactions between several key components. These include the leader, the individual who guides and who influences the group, the follower, the individuals who support and respond to the leader, the context or the specific situation and the environment that shapes the leadership process. This could be things like the nature of the task, the organizational culture, the external environment. Then there's the process, which is this ongoing interaction and exchange between the leaders and the followers. And finally, the consequences. These are the outcomes of the leadership process, and they can be both positive and negative. They can be both from individuals and from the group. So this diagram gives you more of a visual representation of the Dunham and Pearce leadership process model. And you can see here the leadership process is at the center with the leader and the followers on either side in the triangle. So the context influences the process from all angles, right, from above, while the consequences of the leader's actions and the outcomes flow below. But the arrows are what's important. The arrows demonstrate the dynamic interplay between all of these elements. So it's also important to note here that those consequences of the leadership process, they can be positive, like trust and affection, and they can be negatives like suspicion and dislike. Leaders are central figures in this process. They're the ones who are guiding and directing group activities. So they set the tone. They influence the atmosphere that enables the goal achievement. Think of it like conductors of an orchestra. The conductor guides the musicians, sets the tempo, and ensures that everyone is working in harmony to create a beautiful symphony. Effective leaders understand the importance of balancing the group's maintenance needs and their task needs. They create a cohesive and supporting group atmosphere while simultaneously ensuring that the group makes progress toward its goals. Leadership is not a static position, but it's an active process requiring regular engagement, thoughtful decision-making, the ability to adapt and change as the group's needs and goals change. Followers are also a vital role here because they're defining the needs that influence the leadership style and direction. They're not passive recipients of leadership, right? They're active in this relationship. They shape the process. For instance, a follower's personality, their values, their readiness to follow, that all impacts how a leader approaches a situation. A follower who has high self-esteem and internal locus of control, they believe they have control over their own destiny, they might thrive under a more participative leadership style, right? They want to have a voice in the decision making. But someone with low self-esteem and more of an authoritarian outlook, they might respond better to more directive leadership style that provides clear step-by-step instructions. The takeaway here is that effective leadership often involves adapting one style to the unique characteristics of the followers. There's no one style fits all. Context, as we mentioned earlier, encompasses those situational factors that impact leadership. Things like the nature of the task, the organizational structure, the broader external environment. For example, the level of task structure, the clarity of the goals, and the stability of the environment can significantly influence how leaders and followers interact with one another. A highly structured task with clear goals and steps over steps over steps that might require less direct leadership than an ambiguous, complex task. Contextual factors are shaping the unique demands placed on leaders. They require tailored approaches to leadership that consider both the group dynamics and the task dynamics. It's important here that we remember, and I've said this a few times now, leadership is a process, not a product. It's not static. It's an ongoing interaction and exchange between the leaders and the followers. The leaders provide resources, guidance, and support. The followers reciprocate with compliance, trust, and loyalty. So it's a two-way street. Effective leadership flourishes when this exchange is mutual, with leaders influencing followers and followers' responses in turn shaping the leader's approach. Leaders need to listen to their followers. They need to take their feedback into account and then be willing to adjust their plans based on the needs of the group. The consequences or the outcomes of the leadership process are felt on both the individual and the group level. At the group level, two key outcomes to consider are whether the group's maintenance needs have been met and whether the group's task needs have been met. Has the leader fostered a cohesive and supportive environment? Has the group achieved its goals? Or has the opposite occurred? Has the group become dysfunctional and failed to meet its objectives? At the individual level, frameworks like the leader-member exchange theory can be used to assess the success of a leader-follower relationship. And we're going to look at that more in depth in just a moment. Right? So the leader-member exchange theory, LMX, it zeroes in on the quality of relationships between leaders and each of their followers. It recognizes that leaders don't treat all followers the same, and that the quality of these dyadic relationships can significantly impact the outcomes of their task performance. So these relationships are usually categorized into in-groups and out-groups. Members of the in-groups enjoy high-quality LMX relationships characterized by trust, respect, support, and that all leads to higher performance, job satisfaction, commitment. On the other hand, members of the out-group experience lower quality relationships, and that can lead to less engagement and weaker performance. Think about a workplace scenario. The leader may have a closer relationship with certain team members who they trust and they rely on for important tasks. Those individuals are likely to be the in-group, while others with less interaction and less trust might fall into the out-group. LMX theory highlights the importance of leaders fostering high-quality relationships with all followers to maximize individual and group effectiveness. We really want everyone to be in the in-group, but this theory allows us to assess that on an individual relationship level. All right, so that's going to wrap up this section here. On the next section, we're going to cover section 3, leadership emergence. I'll see you all in that one.